What's going on, people? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV. Welcome back to another live stream with myself. Big up to everyone that's coming in and joining. Big up to all those that are here to begin with. Like, subscribe, so you see more content from ourselves. Just going to go for a few bits. Obviously, this is the first show from myself back since the international break. So I'm going to go for a couple bits. I'm going to go through those players that are back, Jackson, Noni. I'm going to go for a bit of news about the Club World Cup. Some of it's a little bit old, but it leads into stuff that happened, I think, a day or so ago. Some other news that came out. Excuse me. Just going to go through that. Going to go through a couple of other bits, your comments, questions, anything like that. And yeah, just kind of a little bit of news around Chelsea, and do a little bit of a preview, not a massive one, just because I think Alex or someone will be doing a preview for the Tottenham game on Wednesday, to talk about that all. But as I said, big of everyone that's just kind of funneling in. Let's touch on, where should we start? Let's touch on the people coming back. Obviously, we've got the Spurs game on Thursday. I don't know what time it is. I think it's 8 p.m. kickoff. Got a few players coming back. We've got Jackson, I think, was back in training a few days ago. Noni should be back, I think. Obviously, we've got Lavia back. He was back before the international break. Excuse me. Hopefully, Palmer is back. Yeah, hopefully we get to see some of these guys play. And yeah, just hopefully we can start to see some players come out. And Kunku, for example, Sancho probably needs to be benched. And hopefully we start to see a little bit of change to our system and how we play, and a little bit of a reversion back to what we saw previously, like when we were playing well. So yeah, so as I said, hopefully, that progresses. We can go back to a little bit to how we were, as I said. Because I feel confident for the Tottenham game, in all honesty. I think this is the one game we should win, despite our terrible form and everything. It's Tottenham. We always beat them. That should continue. I see no reason why it shouldn't. And see, I just think it's something that we need to kind of to just continue, as I said, continue beating them, continue. Then, like, the other games, we've got harder games. We've got the Brentford away, Fulham away, things like that. This Tottenham game for me should be easy. It should be an easy win for us. And yeah, and as I said, I think it's going to be good to see some people come back. Hopefully, Jackson can get some goals, coming back into the team. Hopefully, Noni can provide a little bit more impetus in the attacking third. I don't know what he's going to do with Lavia, whether Enzo's going to start, Lavia's going to start, whether Reece is going to start. Like, we've seen Maresca try different variations, when we had Caicedo at right back and Lavia and Enzo midfield. But I don't know if we see that because James is back. So are we going to see the midfield three of Lavia, Enzo and Caicedo that we did against, what's it called? City, first game of the season, with Palmer on the right? Maybe, but then Noni isn't starting, and I don't know that, I don't know if you want to do that or not. So it's going to be interesting. We've obviously got, I know Nia's asked about the centre-backs, but we've got them come back. We've got the goalkeeper situation, which is just going to be Sanchez, because it's always Sanchez now. So I think it will be interesting. To answer the question on the centre-backs, for me, the guys I would play and I would have in this team would be Fofana, obviously, because he's the only guy who can play wide centre-back, really. And I'd go Tosin. I've maintained for a while, I think our best centre-back, not even partnership, but I think our best centre-backs currently on form are Tosin and Fofana, and I think you can find a way for them to work together and for them to fit in the same team. Colwell, I've had enough of. I'll be completely honest with you. I had enough of him a while ago. But yes, I'd like to see Tosin and I'd like to see Fofana. It won't be I'm not kidding anyone. I'm fully aware. I think it'll be Tosin and Colwell. Not Tosin and Colwell. Sorry, Fofana and Colwell. Excuse me. But yeah, I'd like to see Tosin. As I said, with Colwell, I'm kind of fed up with him. There's a little bit of news, maybe. We might touch on that a little bit later. But yeah, like I said, I think the team for what's it called? The team for Tottenham should be a strong one, minus Sanchez. whatever happens with the right back situation, whatever happens in the midfield is going to happen. I think whichever like pairing you want to go with, Lavia Enzo, it won't be, but like Caicedo Enzo, Caicedo Lavia, I think works. And yeah, as I said, just in attack, we've just got to do better, and hopefully with Jackson back, with Madueke back, hopefully Neto plays on the left hand side, Palmer back. Like hopefully we can do something against them, and I believe we can. As I said, they're not a good team. Tottenham, they haven't played well. I know we haven't been playing well recently, but we're much better than them. We always beat Tottenham. That should continue. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. Big up those that are joining and have commented. Big up Jordan, Neil, Michael. I'll get to the questions in a moment. Well, I'll touch on the Colwell thing a little bit because it's kind of linked with something else, which I will touch on a little bit. So apparently, from I don't know what I can say and what I can't say. So from someone in the Chelsea space who has a source with Chelsea, some of you probably know, it has been reported is the wrong word, but it has been commented that two things. Number one, financially, with the UCL, we're screwed, which is a different point I want to touch on. But if we don't get UCL, there's a couple players we may be looking to sell, maybe looking to move. Should that arise? And one of those that's been mentioned is Colwell. Apparently, there is talk, or they're not, but someone that he knows there or that has heard that if we were not to get UCL, he would push for a move. And he needs to leave. He would like him leaving would be amazing. Not amazing, but like I don't think he has the attitude to want to succeed here. I think you see that. Excuse me again. I think you see that with this is what is apparently happening. The whole everything he has, like in terms of in game, the way he kind of moans and stuff like that. Yeah, I think his attitude is kind of, as Gondy put it, kind of mediocre. It stinks. Like it's not good, and it's something you don't really want to see, and you only want when you're trying to build this team, a young team. Kind of an issue in itself, but when you're trying to build a team that's young and you're trying to progress something, you can't be having these people with huge, like having a big ego isn't always a problem. It's when you have a big ego and you can't back it up, or when it becomes so big that it's an issue. And I think we have reached that point with Colwell. And so if he wants to leave, more than happy for him to leave. More than like I've done defending him. I've like got past like wanting to him to stay and wanting to defend him. The mistakes are just unforgivable. The fact he's made so many that have led to goals, or so many that have led to chances. So yeah, like I'm done with him, as I said, and I think he can go. And I think that apparently the other one that's been reported, or not reported, but again was mentioned, that we might be looking to sell. Not that he would leave, but we might be looking to sell if we didn't get Champions League, was Noni. And I think that would be, personally for me, a bit sad. Not because I think he's irreplaceable, because he's not. He's absolutely not. It's more, he's been our most productive winger this season. I think he has been our best. I'm not saying that means much, but I think you look at what he has done in comparison to Neto, in comparison to Sancho, in comparison to Mudryk, in comparison to Nkunku when he's played there. I think he's done a lot more, and I think the fact that we have, or there are people in the fan base, a large portion of people in the fan base, who since he's been out injured, these last few games have been waiting for him to get back, kind of shows you the impact he can have on this team. Yes, he is frustrating as all hell. Don't get me wrong, he can be extremely frustrating to watch at times, but he has that directness that I think we don't always get, especially not with Sancho and Neto sometimes. And he has that willingness to like get at players and shoot and whatnot. And yes, sometimes it might be selfish, and yes, sometimes it might not be the right thing to do, but that's more than we're seeing from Neto, and definitely more than we're seeing from Sancho. And so even though it might be a low bar, I just find it weird that you'd be selling your most productive winger who you're then going to have to replace. If the plan is to play Neto on the right-hand side as a starting winger, that's fine. But we need to get a lot more from him. Or you need to go and get a goal-scoring left winger who is going to provide you more than Noni will, which is fine. And I know apparently we're linked with one that Jordan asked about earlier, and I'll touch on in a moment. But that goal-scoring left winger has to provide you more and provide better output. That's not Garnacho. That's not really Bino Gittins, who we've been linked with. Who else have we been linked with on the left-hand side? I think it's just those two mainly. There's been a couple others that that might be able to replace them. By the way, guys, sorry about the yawning. I'm very tired today. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Yeah, there's a couple of guys you could potentially get. But I don't trust this board or this ownership group to go and get those players. Like Lookman, for me, would be my number one choice. Barcola's still there, and I still think is a possibility. You might have to overpay a little bit, but it's still a possibility. Who else you got? Kvada's gone. That ship has sailed. You've got the Leao thing, who I will touch on. From a goal scoring point of view and an attacking point of view, I've got no issue with Leao. There are other issues, but that's a potential, right? But yeah, it's just a tricky one for me. As I said, it's my issue with that is just how the issue I've had with a lot of the transfers and a lot of the business that's been done is like I've got no issue with certain players leaving. You have to guarantee me the guy you get to replace is better, and more often than not, I can't guarantee that. Like we got rid of Chalobah, and the guy we got to replace him is Disassi, who is now no longer at the club. Or we tried to get rid of Chalobah, I should say, and the guy who got to replace him is Disassi, who's now no longer at the club. And we're looking to sell. We got rid of Gallagher, and as much as I don't rate Gallagher, I still don't rate Gallagher. Wouldn't have fit the system. He's not really having an amazing season at Atletico, all things considered. It's been okay. We replaced him with Dewsbury Hall, who is a side move. It's just a sideways move. It's pointless. Stuff like that. So yeah, if we're going to get rid of Noni, cool. It has to be a serious upgrade. But talking of wingers, let's get on to the Leao thing, because I know it was asked about the Leao thing earlier from Jordan. This is interesting. If you'd have asked me about Leao 2 years ago, maybe even last year, but especially 2 years ago, I'd have bitten your hand off for Leao. I would have said, go and get him. I wanted him actually at the time. When we were linked with him for 100 mil, I said that's 100 mil well spent if we go and get him. Instead of Mudryk and instead of all that nonsense we were doing, I was saying go and get Leao. We didn't. He proceeded to have an okay season last season. Not amazing, but not awful. And then this season, he has had a dreadful season. Still got decent numbers. I think he's got what? I think I looked at this. He's got 6 and 7 in terms of goals and assists, or 7 and 8 in the league, which is pretty good. But in terms of performances, it's been woeful. It's been absolutely awful. And there are other issues besides, chief among which is the defensive aspects. It's worse than Nkunku, just to be honest. And I wonder how that would work in the Maresca system. I don't think it would work in the Maresca system, and I think it would be something you'd then have to look to either change the manager, find ways to work around. I don't think it works with Enzo in the team, so there's some problems that can be had there. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, people. Just had my just got to get my dinner. So yeah, as I said, I think the thing with the Leao thing is I just don't see how it can work with the other components we've got on our team, right? Like I said, I think attacking wise, amazing, but in terms of profile as well, fits the profile brilliantly. He's like direct, can beat guys on a dribble. He's got that big frame. He's like strong. He's got that P&P, but also the technique in terms of the dribbling. He can score goals. I think 2 years ago, he got 15 in the league. I think he got a decent amount of assists that season. I think it wasn't double figures, but I think it was like 8 or 9 that season in the league. and assists. So like there is that creativity, there is that impetus to go forward. And as I said, it's like it's what we expected a little bit from Sancho, just a bit more, I think. But you can't ignore that defensive. What's even the right word? Just defensive lack, just lack of defense. You can't ignore that. Not in this system. You can't ignore that considering the guy next to him is Enzo Fernandez in this system, which we already know his issues defensively. That would be two dudes next to each other who defensively either can't be bothered or can't defend. That means you're putting a lot of pressure on the guys behind him in Caicedo, not necessarily even Caicedo, but like Cucurella and the left centre back, which means you have to get a huge upgrade on the left centre back, or it might be Cucurella as the left centre back, which would be really bad. So yeah, as I said, it just puts a lot of strain on other portions of the pitch and other portions of the team. And I said, unless you're going to change things up, which we're not under Maresca, so then unless you're going to change Maresca, for me, it makes no sense to get Leao. As good as he is going forward, it just makes no sense. And the other issue I have with him, and it's been seen this season, is when things don't go his way, he is liable to throw his toys out the pram. There have been issues this season with Paulo Fonseca before he was sacked. He has been dropped also by Conceição. Like, again, as good as he is, and he is very good, there are some clear deficiencies in his game. And like I said, from an attitude perspective, I'm a bit wary. You know, I'm a bit unsure what happens if he doesn't quite get his own way. What happens if things don't go for him? What happens if he starts out having some bad form and he's asked to do more by the manager because he's not doing enough attacking wise? Like, it's just question marks I had, as I said. And those are question marks I don't really want to have for a player that's going to cost you 83 million, personally. That's just me. What else would Jordan ask? Something else, I think. What my thoughts on is I meant to say Paez loan? If that is about the Paez loan, I think the loan apparently that's reported for him going to Strasbourg is great. I think that's a very good, not replacement for Santos because it's not the same position, but like, I think that's a very good loan for him to have. Number one, it's a top 5 league. Number two, they could be playing in Europe, and they probably will be playing in Europe to some degree next season. What level remains to be seen. But also, if we're going to play him as this like number 8 next season, which is apparently, or not the next season, but like going forward, which is apparently the plan, then that'd be a good place for him to learn, especially under Rafinha if he stays. And you can like he can basically build, you know, like he can he can develop there. We've already seen that Racine is very good at developing players. He can learn what it's like playing in Europe and playing in a top 5 league. Obviously, different level, but still. And then he can kind of develop. And as I said, like it's a good spot for him to land in. Obviously, I don't know how the fit would work from a tactics point of view because I haven't watched Strasbourg much, so I don't really know what tactics they're playing on a regular. So I don't know how that would work, but I think it's a good move ultimately, and I think that's for me. That is a fantastic move for us to do. I think it's similar to the Santos move. I think there's other moves we can do like that. I think Penders, for example, is one. Him going on loan there would be fantastic to replace Petrovic, who should come back and be on number 1. And then you should go find another one. You know, whether that's Sarr returning, maybe, but like he's probably going to stay. And like I don't know whether there's any point in him. Well, there's probably his point going him back to Strasbourg, but like apparently we went to the Mugu thing, but maybe we sell him or something. I don't know. Don't really care. But someone like that, you know, where you can send them and develop and whatnot. So yeah, I think that'll be a good move, and like that's all I hope for most of these loans. And like it's been one of my frustrations with this ownership group and with these sporting directors is they fail when it comes to loans this season. You know, like there are certain guys that are now starting to come back around with loans. Like obviously Leslie's been a revelation since Ivan Juric came in. At Southampton, even though they're terrible, he has played very good. Excuse me again. Disasi's been good since he's gone to Villa, to be fair, which is nice. Carney has shown spurts, but he also keeps getting injured. Who else have we got? apparently, I think I saw a comp where I saw a couple of moments of Caleb Wiley playing for Watford. Seems to be doing all right. Hasn't played many games, but seems to be doing nice. It seems to be doing some inverting as well, like a little bit in attacking areas, which is nice to see because it's not something I thought he could do, being a winger that transitioned to a wing back / left back. But it's nice to see him being maybe able to do that, and might mean he actually has a place in this team going forward, which I still don't think he does, but we'll wait and see. Pender's isn't really on loan, but obviously the Petrovic one. Like, we have had some good loans. It's just I think too many of them have been your Broziers going to Everton, or like the Santos to Forest loan, or Gilchrist, another one actually that was really good. On a side note, before Southampton decided to just cut it off at the knees, so to speak. Not Southampton, sorry, Sheffield United decided to cut off at the knees. There's been a couple of others. I just think that it's just been too many poor loans. Ultimately, Leslie was terrible up until Juric came in, which obviously isn't necessarily our fault. Stutter at Gillingham was another one. No, not Gillingham. Burton was another one that was terrible. Trying to think of it. But there's been others, but it's not been something that we've really done successfully. So yeah, I said I hope the Pires move goes well. Like, I hope he progresses there, and it means that he can come back in 2020. What would that be? 2026. We get him back. We get Quenda come in there. Hopefully, that's another year of Esteval showing himself, a year of Santos showing himself, and hopefully he's the starter by that point. Like, there is potential, and I hate saying it because I hate the way we're building this team. There is some potential for 2026 for that team, depending on certain signings you make, to look very good. You know, that'll be Caicedo. I think by that time will be 24, 25. Same with Enzo if he's still here. You've got Santos will have had a year in this team, and I think will be a very good player at that point. Esteval the same. Another year of Palmer. Hopefully we've got a different striker at that point as in a starter. Hopefully Jackson's still around as the backup, but we've got an Osimhen or something as the starter. Hopefully we've got different centre backs. We might have that might be the time to bring Penders back, depending on how he does, and have him, maybe be the number one. Like, there's potential, right? Of it looking good in 2026, but it's just like I say, it's just a bit of potential, and I'm just like a bit sick of using that word and hearing all of that nonsense and whatnot. So it's interesting, kind of with all that. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see if what questions you've got. I don't know what the injury update on Mark Hugh is, and like, I don't mean it's in a horrible way, but I don't care because, like, he's never really going to feature that heavily for the rest of the season, if we're being honest. Like, it kind of sucks, but yeah, I don't really know what the plan is with him, but apparently it's to loan him out, maybe. I don't know. Like, I have no idea, to be honest. Like, I just don't know. I don't know about the Mudryk sample either. No idea. Don't care. Just give us the sample, ban him, then we can rip the contract up and tell him to... Oh, am I still here? Bear with me, guys. I think I'm still here. Let me know if I'm still here. Let me know if I'm lagging at all. Screen went a bit weird. Yeah, I don't know about Mudryk. Jazz said just piss him off. I hope it's not Gittins, by the way, for the winger. Like, I've got nothing against Gittins, but he doesn't fix the issue. Like, he's not a goal scoring winger, right? Like, there's a few issues I have with the Bono Gittins thing. Number one is the age, yet again, 20 years old. We've just signed a 17-year-old winger who can also play left wing, who probably will play left wing. Like, where's the planning there? Number two, he's not really a goal-scoring winger. He's got 7 goals this season in the league and 27 games. Which is the same as Madueke in terms of goals. He has half the amount of goals so far that I think Sancho had in the Dortmund team. Obviously, it was a better Dortmund team, but still. Half the amount of goals that Sancho had at Dortmund, and Sancho was goal-scoring winger, no longer is. Like, to me, I understand why we want him he used to play in a City Academy sort of thing, but it's not for me. To be a backup, maybe. If you're telling me we're getting rid of Mudryk and Sancho, or we get rid of Mudryk, we get Sancho in, but we do like a swap deal with Sancho and Bino Gittins. Bino Gittins is the backup left winger, and then we still go and get a Barcola, Lookman, etc. Okay, cool. Like, Cool. I can hear that. Okay. We can start having a conversation. But if the argument is we get him in to be the starter, and then it's like Sancho's the backup or something or other, no, thank you. It's not for me. Thank you very much. Are you talking CAM? Are you talking about Brahim Diaz for Real Madrid? Like, I hope you're not talking about Brahim Diaz for Real Madrid, because no, brother, no, thank you. If there's a Real Madrid winger that we're going to get that couldn't, he's probably not attainable, right? But if you're willing to pay whatever for him, I'm willing to pay him whatever, and we had Champions League, it's probably like never going to happen. But Rodrigo's there, brother. Like, Rodrigo is right there. Or if you want to do the young thing, and again, it probably wouldn't happen because I don't know if he'd leave, but he doesn't really play that much. I don't know what they'd sell him for. If you want to do the young thing, and you want someone who can play kind of right mid, kind of number 10, interchange with Palmer a bit, Arda Güler is right there. So I'd rather go and get one of those two than Brahim Diaz, personally. I'm going to touch on this comment first, and then we'll touch on the other one because there's another point I want to make about the goalkeeper. I agree with the Jonathan David thing. I think me and a couple of us, me and Steve, Strasbourg Steve, and then a couple of people that we're in a group chat with, the Sarcasm City group chat, we were having a conversation about this the other day where this was before actually the USMNT played Canada, and we were talking about like Jonathan David and whatnot, and like I said, I'd take David. Like I would take David and sell Jackson. Like if you're telling me you could sell Jackson and get like 40 to 50 mil, get David in on free and get Osimhen, I would take that 100%. Because like that gives you a better backup in my eyes for me. Like I like Jackson, but David is better. He's great with both feet, clinical finisher in the box, good link up play, decent hold up play. Don't know about aerially is the only thing for me with David, but consistent goal scorer. He's played 5 years in Ligue 1 as of this season. He's got 13 plus goals every single year, and that 13 was his first season, and he's got more goals like since his first season. Won a league title, is experienced. He's 25, has played in a couple of different leagues. So like, excuse me, yeah, he's one I would go for, especially as I said, it's on a free transfer. I would not get Delap. I straight up don't want Delap. I don't want Sesko either. No, thank you. Neither of them move me in any way, shape, or form. Gyökeres, I'm still unsure about. He's still like third or fourth on my list. Like him and David are kind of that third or fourth position. 1 and 2 from Osimhen and Isak. Like that should be who you're going for. I don't care what you have to do, what levers you have to pull, what hotels you have to sell, what loopholes you have to find. Go and get Isak. Or go and get Osimhen and don't pull any levers and all that loophole stuff. That's what I hope they do. I don't think they will do. That's what I hope they'll do. But we'll probably more than likely end up with Delap, in all honesty. The other thing I want to touch on was this. I saw this link with Svilard as well. We've also... with me. We've also, as of today, got linked by Tuto Sport to Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, who's another goalkeeper. So, no idea where these links are coming from. I don't want Svila, and I don't really want Milinkovic-Savic for differing reasons. Svila has been a perennial backup everywhere he's gone. Let me search him up. He was playing for, I think, Anderlecht, if I'm not mistaken. Let me have a look. Yeah, he was at Anderlecht. Then he didn't play for them. Then he got he was signed by Benfica, played a little bit for Benfica, but was mostly a backup. Then signed with Roma and was mostly a backup the first couple years. Hang on, when did he join? Yeah, it was mostly a backup the first couple seasons and has only really become a starter this year. I'm good, thank you. I don't need another perennial backup to come in and be our number one. No thanks. No thanks. especially another young guy. How old is he? He's 25. Jesus. Damn. No, I still don't want him. Penders is better. The other guy, Vanya Milinkovic-Savic. So there was a table that came out that I can't remember where it came from that showed all the goalkeepers in Europe's top 5 leagues. On one of the axes was, I think, like it was like possession based. It was like passes out from the back or something or other. And then the other one was like shot save percentage, or like what's the one where it's like it's not XG, but it's the opposite. It's like goals prevented or something, whatever it is. Petrovic on that graph is on an island in like the top left corner over here. But in terms of save percentage or X goals prevented or whatever it is, there's only one guy that's ahead of him in that graph, and it's Vanya Milinkovic-Savic. So I got on the face of it, he looks good, but I've got questions. Say we sign him. What's the plan with Petrovic? Is sell him, because Petrovic is a better goalkeeper for me overall in terms of this system and what we want to do, especially with the playing out from back. And I've seen him play with my own eyes. I'm not just going based on what the stats say. I haven't seen Milinkovic-Savic play at all. How am I as I've never seen him play? Seen Petrovic play multiple times in multiple different leagues. So I know what this guy's on. I know what he's about. I would prefer him. So let's say we get both of them. What's the plan with Jorgensen? Is he finished? Is he cast to the wayside like another one after a year? Like a Leslie or a Carney? Or a Felix after half a season? Or a KDH or a Vega or whoever? Like, is he another one that's just cast away? Maybe. And I'm not saying I care that much, but it's more just a bigger indictment in terms of what these guys are doing, the recruitment that, you know, we get another goalkeeper. That would be our, hang on, we bought Slonina, Penders, Petrovic, Sanchez, Jorgensen. That would be our 6th and 7th keeper, depending on if we get either of these guys. 6th and 7th keeper. There we go. So yeah, this would be our 6th and 7th keeper we would have signed. Fantastic. I don't really know. Yeah, so I don't really know what on earth is going on there. So yeah, that's it. The goalkeeper situation for me is just simple. Like, you bring Petrovic back, he's the number one, unless you can guarantee me. Again, we go back to like signings and guarantees. Unless you can guarantee me that we were going to get an improvement, which for me is maybe Chevalier, maybe Kerbal, maybe, but I'm a bit unsure. Or unless you can go and get someone like an Emi Martinez or Black level. I still think Black's pretty good. Don't know about passing out from the back, but still. Unless you can get that, just save Petrovic. Save yourself some money. He's better than what we've got. He's the best goalkeeper we have in our team, and he's on loan. So yeah, but prefer to do that. Now, that's it. That's with the goalkeeper and what I do. The other positions are other positions. That's something we need to work out. And I know Neil has mentioned about like need to keep a center. I had like this puts it perfectly. Keeper, as I said, a bit unsure about. You can use Petrovic. That centre back is key. This Houston stuff, no thank you, not interested. Good player, don't need another 19-year-old centre back who most of the highlights I've seen from are passing based. That was the same issue people had with Colwell. As we're saying, it might have been well founded at the time with Colwell. So why am I going to give that grace to Houston? Because he plays for a similar level of team in terms of where they both were at the time. Plays front foot football like Colwell did. Plays on the left side like Colwell did. Yes, he's both footed. He's not left footed as much as Colwell was, but it's a similar thing. The only difference is like he gets called up for Spain, which is cool and all. But if it hadn't been for an injury, he wouldn't have played. So yeah, so not about Houston, not as a starter anyway. Gehi is my number one of who we've been linked with. There are other players I would prefer, Bastoni being one, Schlotterbeck maybe, Christensen if he could stay fit, stuff like that. But it's never, none of those are ever going to happen. So yeah, as I said, I think of those who've been linked with, Gehi's my first option, and then yeah, you're right, number 9. And like I said, Osimhen or Isak, please and thank you. None of this Delap or Sesko nonsense. No, thank you. Absolutely not. I agree with this, by the way. That's the thing. It's so low risk. It's like if he does do poorly, this is a proven striker in Ligue 1. You could easily sell him back to Ligue 1 or sell him to a team, like a half decent team, for a cool 20, 25 mil. That's 20, 25 mil profit you've made. So like I don't see it as a negative for me personally. What do I think of selling both Felix and Nkunku using Jackson as a second striker? The problem with this, firstly, Felix and Nkunku, yes, absolutely, they should both go. The Jackson thing, I don't know, because I don't. As much as I like his link-up play, and I like his hold-up play, and I like the way he drops into the little pockets and deep and the half spaces at times, I don't think his close control is always the best to play in those half spaces. Not like a Palmer's, not like Mata, how it used to be, and some of the best. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Obviously, he's not this level, but like a David Silva and people like that. And I don't know if he's creative enough. And I know you said about having the creativity from the wings or the striker, but I don't really think at the moment we have enough creativity from the wings. And I think this is an issue with our winger core at the moment. I think our most creative winger is Neto, and I think that kind of says a lot when he hasn't been his most like that creative this season, across the whole season. So I don't know. I don't know whether this will work. I also don't know like how it fits, because we're never going to see like Jackson and Palmer play together. I don't think in that situation. I just don't know whether Jackson will be able to play there, because I don't know whether he'd be able to position himself in the right area, and also Palmer doesn't really trust Maresca to coach him to be able to play to this level effectively. I'd prefer, as I said, just make him the backup striker. Don't move him to left wing. He can't play left wing in this system, by the way. I know people talk about that. He can't play left wing in this system. Defensively, I don't think he's there, number one. So you have to coach that into him. Number two is our wingers in this system want to play very wide touchline wingers, which I don't think suits Jackson. If we played more how Liverpool did under Klopp, in terms of with a false 9 and 2 inside forwards, quote unquote, Jackson on the wing I think would work, because he could drift inside and he'd have opportunities to shoot and score, which I still think he's capable of doing, even though he's not the most clinical. See, I think he could work as a winger but not in this system. I don't think in this system he would work as a winger option for me. What have we got here? I kind of agree with this. Like, I think when it comes to standards, I think there's two things with this. Number one, I think the level of football nowadays is crap, or is much worse than it was. So I think that the level of player that is available is obviously a lot less than it was a few years ago. But I also do think it's not helped by the fact of like we're looking at Delap. We're trying to get another unproven strike. We're trying to get unproven players. There are people there that's like Osimhen, Isak, and other guys, even Gyökeres, David, we've mentioned that you could get it would be better, but it's like that's ultimately where we're at right now, which kind of sucks, but that's how things are at the moment. I would sell Sanchez, Chua, Carney. Yeah, I'd sell every person on this. The only person on this list I wouldn't sell is Vega. Because I think as that left centre back, he could work quite well as the central centre back and like the back three and playing left centre back. I think that would be perfect actually. And I'd rather see him there rather than Colwill. But yeah, I think he's going to be sold, unfortunately. I think that's everything so far. The only other thing I wanted to go through this in the title, obviously, there was a report that came out a few days ago that pertained to Chelsea. That Club Lyon, who we are meant to face, or were meant to face, in the Club World Cup in the first round in Atlanta, have been kicked out of the Club World Cup due to the fact they are owned by the same ownership group. Their ownership group are majority stakeholders in Pachuca as well, I think the Pachuca is who they own, like their primary club, and Club Leon is their like secondary club, which is weird that they own two big clubs in the same league, especially like as I said. So I don't know. He Gantes. So let me have a look. Yeah, so like, oh no, that's the normal Gigantes. So yeah, so as I said, I'm a bit confused. Why they've done that, but that they can do what they want. But so they've been kicked out. Now, it's I'm not going to go into too much detail because more than anything, I find it interesting. I don't think most people care because it's a Chelsea channel. But basically, the reason they got kicked out is because there was a inquest done by a Costa Rican team who picked up on this and then made it known to FIFA with, I think, with the hope of getting in for some reason, but they were never going to get in. Anyway, so now they're out. That was meant to be our first game of the Club World Cup. Obviously, this is a ways away. Hang on, March, April, May, June. We're a couple months away, basically, from like a month and a half away from the Club World Cup, or 2.5 months, whatever it is. So we haven't got to worry about this too long, but we got a little bit of news on, I think it was today or yesterday, on who we might be playing, what's going to happen, things like that. So Club Leon are out. Initially, there was a report, I think, that the club that might replace Club Leon was the Costa Rican team that basically put this inquest or whatever it was in, Alajuelense, who are arguably the best Costa Rican team. It's like even Emo Saprissa. If you follow CONCACAF, I don't know who does in here outside of myself, because it's just one of those things I follow. And so apparently it was reported they might be included, but then it came out yesterday from, I think it was either CL Merlo or Tom Bogut, one of the two. I saw Tom Bogut tweet it, but I think it came from CL Merlo, that the reported plan, it's not been made official, but the reported plan is for there to be I don't know if it's called a playoff game, but a qualifying game basically, between Club America in Mexico and LAFC to decide who would basically join the Club World Cup. The reason being for this is LAFC was the team Club Leon beat in the CONCACAF Champions League back in 2022, I think it was, or 2023. And then so that was why they're in it. And then Club America are the highest rated, like seeded, whatever you want to say. They're the best team in North America. They're one of the Gigantes in Mexico. They're one of only two teams in Mexico. I think it's them and Monterrey that have like spend over 100 million on their squad. They're the only two teams in North America. So yeah, they're I think they might be the most successful team. I don't know, but so it's basically one of those two that's going to be in it for a chance to then face us. And we're having a little conversation about this in a couple of group chats. I mean, and we had a little conversation about this on Lewis's channel earlier. I want to be facing LAFC for a few reasons. Number one, obviously, there's the Giroud factor, even though I don't think he'll play. But number two is they're just an easier team for us. They're not as good as Club America. We faced Club America obviously before. I think we faced them in pre-season under Tuchel. I think it was the season he got sacked. We played them. So you know, whether we can beat them again is possible. Like we should, but I'm always hesitant to write these kind of teams off because I said I tend to keep up with them a little bit more than like your average person, and so I know how good they are and they can be, and I also know with our team and depending on who we have come in, like we should beat them. As I said, with the level of player we have, with Santos coming back, with the likes of Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia if they play, Esteval coming in, and with the wingers and attackers and everything else we have, we should win. But I just prefer the easiest game. And I'm also interested, we had a conversation about this earlier as well, about where it would be played. It's meant to be in Atlanta. But if we got LAFC, would we play in LA? Or would we just continue to play in Atlanta for that game? I don't know how that would work, but yeah, so I came out today, so I wanted to touch on it a little bit and just kind of get your guys' thoughts as well on it. I know Poi, I think it's how you say his name, or Piu. I apologize, I'm butchering your name. Says he wants to go out of the Club World Cup early, and I understand, but at the same time, like we need the money for going through that. Like I think again, it got released not fairly recently. The prize money, the actual amounts we can get, and I think the most that we can get if we got to the final and won it is 97 million. Actually, I don't know if it's if we get to the final and win it. I think it might be if we get to the final. I can't remember. And so, yeah, so like I said, I think that it's going to be a difficult one. I think not necessarily regardless, but as I said, I think Club America is going to be an interesting one. I think they will give us a game. They got some good players. They have to be. They're the champions of Mexico, as has been pointed out in the chat multiple times over, back to back to back. They are the best team in North America, as I said. And so it's going to be interesting to face them. As I said, I think it will be them that we have to play it. And yeah, and as I said, like it just makes it a bit harder for us. We went from playing a team that we could win and should win in Club Leon to Club America. And CSO, I'm not really sure. As I said, like I think we just need to win against them and just try and get my kind of expectation is the quarterfinals, because at that point we face one of either Atletico Madrid or PSG or potentially Palmeiras. I don't know if Palmeiras will get there that far, and if they do get that far, they'll beat us because they'll have had to have beaten one of PSG, Atletico Madrid, to get that far. And so yeah, so I'm not confident about getting past the round of 16, because I think if we get past the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, we face Real Madrid potentially if all things line up. So that's gonna be interesting. On a side note, obviously that I haven't managed to talk about it because I don't know when it came out. That trophy looks sick. Like it's ridiculous. Like in terms of it's the most like how do I put this in the words? It's the most show offy like trophy I've ever seen. It's the most over the top, just completely nonsensical, like gaudy looking thing I've ever seen. But at the same time, like with that in one hand, on the other hand, it does look so sick. And the fact you've got a little key to open it up and it all opens up into like the weird globe thing, and it does look really sick. Don't know how the hell you're lifting that. Like, don't know how you mechanically work that, but who cares? Like, so, hopefully things go the right way. Certain teams decide to rest their key players. We can maybe win that. I said I'm not confident in the slightest, but who knows? Yeah, that was. I just wanted to touch on that. Yeah, big flex. And is like just having that in your trophy cabinet and just being able to show that off. Like you just know if we had like a bus parade or something for that, someone's getting drunk and dropping it, because there's no way while you're drunk you're picking that up and being able to like maneuver it around successfully, like not unless you're Hulk or something. But yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. For me personally, like I'm interested to see the whole Club America and LAFC thing. I know for others they don't really care, they just want to know who we play, and I completely understand. But I'll be watching. I'll try and watch. I don't know when the game would be, but try and keep up with it. But yeah, we've got about 10 minutes left, guys, before we get out of here. So I don't know if there's anything else to touch on. Oh, I said I'll touch on it earlier, actually, the whole money thing. So yeah, as I said, with the whole Colwell thing that I got told, or someone I know got told, one of the things that was told or was said was that if we don't get Champions League football this season, financially speaking, we are fucked. I'm not surprised. Like this is what happens. We've somehow, actually, I did see one thing this morning, earlier today, a couple of hours ago, I think from Nizar Cancelo, which I thought was interesting. Let me see if I can find the tweet on my phone. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Let me find the. Oh, Let me find the tweet. Nizar. Can't spell. Nizar Kinsella. Where's the... Here we go. So, yeah, this is from a couple hours ago, or I think about an hour ago or so. So, we announced... So, last year, we had a... I know people aren't going to care about this, or they are going to care, but more to fuel for the fire for the owners, and you do you. Just to let you guys know. So it was reported that by Nizar Kinsella a couple of hours ago that last year we had a loss of 90.1 million. We announced a profit this year of 128.4 million. And I think that a lot of that, or they say that benefited from, just reading the tweet here, the club benefited from increased profit on disposable of player registrations and repositioning of Chelsea Football Club Women Limited. No idea what that means. Think that might have something to do with transfers or something. Explain the what apparent so apparently the Chelsea, like, we effectively, like, we benefited financially from moving the Chelsea women to the Blue Coal company. And apparently, I think from what I'm just reading, what Nizar's saying in some of his tweets, it's basically going to help us with PSR and stuff, which is good. But, like, I think you see what the club is trying to do to a point in terms of, obviously, trying to make us sustainable, but unfortunately with that comes them just trying to make a profit, and I know how that looks and can look, and the connotations, and obviously with everything else that's going on with the owners and whatnot, and feelings towards them, I understand. But yeah, and so I like that got announced. But the reason I kind of brought up is as I said, apparently we're going to be quite badly screwed without the Champions League. And I'm kind of not surprised, as I said, with when you're spending 40 million on a winger that can't play until 2026, who's 18 or 17, when you're spending 11 million on a 16-year-old left back, when you're reportedly, we haven't bought him yet, trying to buy another 16-year-old winger for 10 million, when you're spending 4 million on a 16-year-old, and they call him Uzbekistani, Kazakh. When you're, spending 27 million on one midfielder to then loan him out for a year and then buy another midfielder for 22 mil to replace him. When you're doing these things, it's not, it's not really conducive, and so, like, that's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah, like, it's not great. And I'm not surprised. It means the players are going to have to get sold. A lot of players. We're already trying to sell, like, anywhere from 10 to 15 again for the second year in a row, which I love. Fantastic. And some of them we're trying to sell for the second year in a row because we didn't sell them the first year. Fantastic. Some things never change. We went through two different ownership groups and somehow, or two different owners, and somehow some things do not change. Love that. But yeah, like I said, it just highlights how important getting Champions League this is this year. And I think we got lucky in a way of the coefficient thing where we could get fifth, and I think we can get fifth. Don't think we'll get fourth, but I think we can get fifth. And hopefully we get Champions League, and hopefully that does save us financially. So we're able to go and spend the big money on some of these players, like potentially Osimhen, or whether it's Delap or Sesko or whoever. Like, as long as we're able to spend that money, because, like, what I think, as much as they've spent a lot of money and it's gone wrong, I think with where our squad is at, I'd rather they try and spend the money to rectify it and almost luck their way into something, and magically land on a Santos for an Estevao, rather than not spend that money and we be left in a situation where these guys just have to develop, not have to develop, because they also should develop, but like we need recruitment still. So, like, for example, you look at the striker position. Look at what we've done the last 2 years. We've effectively, you take Hugh out of it, we've done no recruitment in the last 2 years in striker, outside of Jackson. But since we got Jackson, we've done nothing else. I'd rather us go and get a Sesko for 50 mil and try and see if it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can consider it up for that. I think that's better than not doing anything or getting Hugh for 6 mil. For me personally, I just think that's the way I view it. With that. yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. I know it's just under the hour. Can't think of anything else to say. But yeah, I think that's going to be where we wrap it up. As I said, there'll be some more content. I think Alex or someone else, I don't know who it is, that's meant to be doing the streams on Wednesday. I think Alex is doing one of them. So there'll probably be a preview on Wednesday for the Tottenham game. I imagine there'll be a bit more content as well, depending on what Chelsea news comes out. I imagine Alex or someone else might speak about the stuff that I mentioned about Nazar Kinsella and about profits and about all that nonsense that I just don't care about personally, as I said. And yeah, as I said, we play as Tottenham on Thursday, 8 p.m. kickoff. I'm going to check that because I don't want to be wrong. I was right, 8 p.m. kickoff. Fantastic. Excuse me. But yeah, so as I said, that's going to be where we're going to leave it. We've got a bunch of content coming out, so like, subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below if you've got anything to say in response to what I've said on the stream. If you've got any questions to ask me, if you want to disagree with anything I said, you want to agree with anything I said. If there's anything you think that I have said wrong and all that nonsense and all that stuff as well. I don't know when I'm going to be next back on, to be honest with you. But yeah, gonna watch the Tottenham game. Hopefully we win. I think we will win. And yeah, if there is any other questions, leave in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. I've said that already. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Don't know what time. With another stream. Not myself, probably Alex. But yeah, thank you everyone. Enjoy your evening if you haven't already, or enjoy your afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And up to Chelsea.